We are going to take a look at URL variables, but before we do, I wanted to give you some basic information so that when we go to actually build a query string, you understand the different pieces of it. So what is a URL variable? It's a variable that you can attach to a hyperlink, so when the user clicks the hyperlink, the next page has access to that information. So it is a two-page process that uses a hyperlink. Generally speaking, anyway. There is another way to create these, and I'll show you that in a minute. There are 4 characters that are used within a query string: the question mark, the ampersand, the equal sign, and the plus sign. And I'm using all 4 of these in our example in the page we build. So the question mark segregates the URL from the query string. The ampersand segregates groups of information. The equal sign assigns a value to a variable, and the plus sign can be used to represent a space. And these will make more sense once we actually take a look at a query string. I have an example on this page. So what are the variable types we've looked at so far? Well, we just took a quick look at PHP variables. If you've been going through this course from the beginning, you will have worked with the first name and last name variable. But most everything we do within this course from this point on is going to be working with variables. Now, a URL variable is created and referenced using get, and it has a $sign in front of it. So I'll show you that in a minute. But a get variable is a URL variable. It's a two-page process. Somebody clicks a hyperlink or fills out a form with a method of get, and that creates this query string attached to the hyperlink. And then the second page can capture that hyperlink information and work with it. The other type of variable, which we'll look at later in the course as well, is a post type variable, and those are referenced using the word post in PHP specifically. It's a two-page process. It's created by creating a form, and the user clicks a button. That form has a method of post, and it will pass the data. And as I said in other chapters, we will be working with that particular method as well. So here we're going to use the basic template page. We're going to create a two-page process. We're going to build and add a query string to hyperlinks. And then we're going to use that URL variable information on the second page. This way you can see how to work with it. So I'm going to put this page in the browser, and I'm not going to click this link necessarily. I can hover over it. So to test your hyperlinks or your query strings once you've added them, if you hover over it, you can see in the bottom left right below my example here, when I hover over it, you can see that it has a question mark with some additional information after that question mark. That's what I'm referencing when I talk about 4 characters right here. So we'll take a look at that, and if I hover on it again, you'll see it says question mark. The left side of the question mark is the actual URL. The right side of the question mark is the information the next page is going to use. The way it references it is this has 2 pieces of information. Tour ID equals 3, and country equals Mexico. So tour ID and country, those specific words are now variable names on the next page, and they have values of 3 and Mexico. So let's get on with actually creating this, and I think it'll make a little more sense. Just keep in mind there are 4 characters. We're going to be using question mark, ampersand, equal, and plus sign, and this is what they represent should you need to reference it later. So let's get building a two-page process using URL variables.